What is up, everyone? Little Bat here, and today I want to present my Berserker build that I'm using for the floor rifts above 200. The way I've got this set up is to help decimate bosses and also to help you out while you're doing the regular dungeon runs or defeat all enemy runs. That way you're not constantly having to rebuff. You can just keep running and gunning as you go. I got a good bit to cover of why it's possible, and I'll show some demonstrations throughout this video, so I don't want to make this too lengthy, so I'm going to go ahead and get to the affinities and how I have them set up. As you can see right here, I'm pushing over the 800. That's because of the master points. As you will see, I'm stacking primarily strength and stamina. As you can see over on his stat things, it's the same way with the master points. It's all I'm really pushing for. I have the Flan, which is giving me the Marauder and the Knight. I went ahead and pushed it up to 600 because sometimes I will use the Starfall. I'll just put it on my weapon for the enemy runs and make sure that I've got the Cyclone Rush on for the boss fights. But you can use both for enemy runs. That Cyclone Rush will have a good 360 around it. I'm pushing the 600 cyclic, and this is part of why it works so well, especially when you're doing the enemy runs and not having to constantly rebuff yourself. I'm also pushing the 600 samurai. That way all my hits are critical, and I'm also getting that parry effect. I will be getting a double dose of buff durations because of that, whether it's if I'm on a single target or I'm killing enemies rapidly. The 600 summoner, since I am pushing all the primary blessings on my accessory. Once you get past 200, you can farm that. When you see my muscle belt, you will see what I'm talking about. I am pushing the 600 monk, since I do have the muscle belt for the mantra, and I'm rocking 18,000 HP, so I'm getting that additional non-elemental damage included on my stuff. The Void Knight, as usual, I'm just a sucker for haste and for that MP recovery. It's hard for me not to have it on my builds anymore, to be quite honest. For the Tomberry, you can see I'm getting the 400 Death Knight. For the Iron Giant, I'm still getting the 400 Paladin. From the Tomberry again, the 400 Warden. That way I'm getting the Shadowbreaker and that Power Seeker. Both those are going to work well with this setup here. That's on the fish. It's just extra strength, but not necessary to level up to have this. The 400 Knight, like I said, that's on the Flan for the invincibility while I'm got Lightbringer up. The 400 Dragoon I do have, as you can see, on my gear for that Sovereign of the Skies, and also the enemy weakness break damage dealt, and it's just a little bit more strength. Going down my gear here, you can see what I'm primarily stacking. That damage dealt axe combo. I could probably get rid of the MP cost on the axe. I don't really need it. However, I did not have an improved effect Berserk for my axe, so until I get one, that's just staying on for now. And it's kind of a little safeguard for when you're doing the higher rankings, just in case if you were to miss with your combo ability and you're not suffering. But you can see I'm primarily just stacking that strength, the near death damage, the Lightbringer damage, and then for the slots that are left over, once they get to 100%, the Lightbringer break damage. Here you can see on my accessory, I'm stacking the Ifrit, the Odin, the Shiva, and the Ramu. And my primary is the Alexander. I prefer to stack this as my gear option because the amount of strength and stamina that you get from it, especially that stamina with that Cyclone Rush, or if you're using Brutal Tackle, since it's also stamina based, it's really going to help push that damage along with that strength. Also, like I said, from the 400 Knight that I'm getting from the Flan, who also is giving me the Marauder for the axe damage, you're getting that stamina bonus, and for the 250 and the Tomberry 250 breaker is giving me that strength bonus, so I'm getting the double bonus every time I use that. For my command abilities, I'm using Mighty Strikes, Lunatic, and Reinforce. Now you could get rid of the Reinforce and have something else for DPS, and then you could either move out the Marauder or the Cyclic if you wanted to, for the charge time reduction that the Red Mage gives, and have a little bit more DPS with the command. But like I said, the way I've got this set up, I really like that 600 cyclic because it allows me to transition between defeat all enemies and defeat all bosses, and I'm not worried about having to change a thing at all. As you can see, I'm stacking that axe combo damage up to 216 and the improved effect Berserk. Now going through my mastery points, you can see here, like I was talking about, stacking that strength and stamina, and I put the other 50 points into the Berserker job affinity. Since that's just more strength and stamina, it's giving me that 600 every time I kill an enemy. I'm getting a Lightbringer, I'm getting that protected shell. And also while Lightbringer is active, I'm getting MP back. It's just a really good setup that the Berserker has for his last 3 effects. Since I have the Samurai where I will be doing critical damage, I've just put some of the rest of the points and I'll just split it up between crit damage dealt and the break damage dealt. The near death, I got points in, like I said, to get it to that even 100%, and enough points of Lightbringer to get it up to 100%. Now going through here, you can see I'm doing defeat all enemies. Once you have this set up like this, because every time you soul burst an enemy, when you have that 400 summoner affinity going on and the 600 cyclic, every time something soul bursts is going to activate your Lightbringer, which is also going to affect your soul shield, meaning that it's going to keep increasing the duration of your buffs. So every time you kill an enemy, your buff duration keeps going up on your stuff. It's also the same thing that every time I hit them with this critical right there, with that Samurai, with the parry effect, and I have the 250 monk, it's also extending the duration of my buffs. So with these two powers combined, you literally don't have to worry about the buff duration at all for the most part, except for, I will say on boss fights, of course, because you're not running through them as fast. But when you're doing this kind of stuff, you literally just can go through, buff yourself at the very beginning, and just run through all 90 enemies, and you're not going to have to worry about having to constantly switch over your sub and rebuff yourself. You can just leave it up as it is, and it will keep rocking. Like I said, I know that I could make him a little bit more effective when it comes to single boss battles, but I like having my characters or my classes pretty much balanced. That way it feels really good when you're running the dungeon and defeating all enemies, or if you have to do a boss battle, you can handle both. It doesn't have to be I don't want it to be excellent at one and, sucking hind tit and the other. I like to have that balance when it comes to them. And that's why I said, that's why I like the cyclic on there. I know I could just push for more strength if I wanted to. I could change out the reinforce, and have just the red mage on for the charge time reduction, and put another command ability on there for more damage, whether it's Summon Tachi, Seal of Blood, or Bravery, whatever route you want to go. And I mean, you can do that. But as you can see here, even on the Null Void, the rank 8, and I accidentally left Barrage on, and I still had absolutely no trouble whatsoever just downing these bosses and getting it done with him. He is just all around a beast. I absolutely love playing the Berserker. He's just a lot of fun. He's just extremely dangerous. And there's so many different options you can go with him. You can also do the Greatsword option, especially now that all the classes can have Spinning Slash. You can pretty much just hang in there. Even with I would say the Dark Knight at this point, the only advantage I think the Dark Knight has is that their first combo ability increases the physical damage dealt, while with the Berserker, you got to go all the way to the third. It doesn't matter which class you are in or how you got it set up. But at least with them, the only two stats you have to, like I said, really concern yourself with is that strength and stamina. That's all you really need to worry about, and you can just keep it going. Especially with the Greatsword, with the 10 Gs, because it's stamina based, you're going to be pushing that strength and stamina. Spinning Slash is also stamina based, and then with the Axe, the Cyclone Rush, the Brutal Tackle, they all work off of that strength and stamina as your primary stat bonuses that you want to be really pushing for to get the most damage out of them. And like I said, also for the defeat all enemies, you can use the Starfall ability. Just make sure you put it on your weapon. That way you will have it in your beginning combo formation. That way you can just do your one initial swing and then put it out, because it will destroy enemies. Once you get up to this point and your guy is rocking this much strength and this much stamina, you will be able to one-shot mobs, and it does a really long-distance cone out in front of it. It's really good, especially with the Marauder. I love the Marauders because their first combo setup, if you even just break the enemy with your combo, they will soul burst. So it's also really good for the Marauder as well, and for the Berserker, depending on what route you want to go. I just like the Cyclone Rush. That way I don't have to switch back and forth, or I don't accidentally forget when I go into a boss rush to switch my weapon combo back. Like I said, you can get this kind of set up and going even before 200. Depending on what monsters you got, you can kind of look at this and, change without, if you can't stack the summon blessings at this point, then don't worry about, Behemoth and the summon. You might want to focus on something else for a little bit more strength, whether you need the Harpy, that way you can get the Dragoon on your gear, or, something of that nature, or maybe even just the Wolf. That way, if you got your Samurai built up and you only need one piece of gear to get that 600 Samurai going, and then you can focus, your efforts somewhere else. So yeah, that pretty much wraps him up. Like I said, if you got any questions, just leave it in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to get to you and talk to you about it. Or, if you need to try to make the build work before you're at the floor 200s, just let me know, and let me know what you're working with as far as the monster pets, and I'll see what I can do. You've been good. I hope to see you on the next. Thank you, and have a great night.